Hello, Rock with South Falcons. It was a short week here, but a great week. Since it's Friday, time for a blast. Okay, math team. I think we have a problem, and maybe there is a pun intended, but our math team is at it again, having a little bit of fun, and this time it was at Mr. Morgan's expense. Mr. Morgan made the statement that we had so many math textbooks that we could build a fort, and that is indeed what they did. Here's a little shot of Mr. Morgan there finding his fort the next morning. So kudos to our math team for brightening Mr. Morgan's day with a little bit of joy and fun. And I love that you all collaborated on that. That was fantastic. I would be the one that would share some research with you about how fun really increases memory, intelligence, connection. It's more than just bringing joy to our day. It really does have chemical, emotional effects, and it increases the power of our brain. It actually increases our learning power. So I encourage you, continue to bring that fun into our day, and not only with one another, but with your students. I do want to give a quick plug to our social committee. Remember, you have one last chance, speaking of fun, to sign up for our mini golf sessions that'll be coming up really soon. I think that'll be in the Monday memo, so please make sure that you check that out. Next up, I want to get into our instructional focus. I saw some awesome cooperative learning happening in classrooms this week. And so this particular example is one from Miss Misey's class. It's a science class. Miss Misey did an excellent job of having specific roles for cooperative learning. That's one of the pictures that I have featured there. And not only did she have a role for every single student, but she had sentence starters to go with every single role. So as kids were working with one another, they were using those sentence starters as they analyzed the text and prepared to do a lab. The next piece to that is that Miss Misey also would call on specific roles at certain periods of time to determine who would share out within the class. And so you see an example of that happening where she called on a specific role to then, or the spokesperson in this case, to share out how their group is doing with a particular task and where they needed support. Last but not least, I happened to take a picture of the activity 3 that was on her board. And one of the things that I really loved about it was that she says, turn and talk, brainstorm with your partners, and then record those items into your notebook. If you recall, we shared last week that just the simple act of having kids turn and talk in your class before expecting them to write or to share out with the entire class, it increases engagement by 70%. So just that turn and talk first will increase engagement by 70%. Great job, Miss Misey. And now moving on to Miss Ingles' class, where I happen to see assessment capable learning happening as well as some cooperative learning. I took a picture of some kiddos as they are analyzing in a carousel activity. They're analyzing student work, and it happens to be different student claim evidence reasoning essays. All of the students had a scoring guide. They were looking specifically to analyze for evidence and reasoning. They were collaborating with one another on the level that they would mark on that scoring guide and the feedback that they would give to that particular student. After the students engaged in their partner work, Miss Ingle then had them use the 4 corner strategy to go to the corner of the room that represented 4, 3, 2, 1 on the scoring guide. They then had discussions about why they chose that particular number as a group, and then they shared out together. A ton of evaluation and analysis. The students then used this same method to provide in a self-reflective model to create goals and to give themselves feedback on their very first CER, as we've lovingly called it, claim evidence reasoning essay. And that is an example that I have down in the corner there that shows you how a student use the scoring guide and their essay to evaluate their work and provide themselves with some meaningful feedback and insight to then create a goal for this school year. Great work, Kristen, in Mrs. Engel's class. If you want more information on either this assessment capable learning strategy or on Miss Mizey's cooperative learning strategies, please do reach out to them. I encourage you to do that. Last but not least, I know this week there was a horrific school shooting that occurred in Georgia at a high school. And our hearts go out to all of the students, the staff, the families, and the community that was impacted by this terrible act. At this time, I just want to review with you that here at South, I hope you know that safety is our number one priority. And that looks, that's exemplified in many ways. For one, we shared with you that it's important not to prop doors. Every single door must be locked, and it is locked throughout our entire building. Our hall monitor, Mr. Zach, and Officer Beffa do a great job of monitoring those doors. They walk the school. They make sure that they are shut and locked at all times. The next piece is really that we're all visible. I mean, we have staff members at arrival. We have staff members at dismissal. We have staff members present in hallways at lunchtime. We are making sure that we are present, available to students, and that we're there to ensure safety throughout our school. And then I also want to point out the relationships that we're building with kids. They're paramount. They provide not only physical safety, but emotional safety. I've got some pictures that really exemplify that. Our counselors and our social worker do a fabulous job of connecting with our students. That's a shot of Miss Beckett in the cafeteria learning math from one of our 7th grade students. And then we have another shot of Miss H, who is one of our cafeteria staff members. She is connecting with our kids. So it's not simply our certified staff. It definitely extends to every single staff member in this building is seeking to make connections with our kids. And of course, last but not least, I have the extraordinary Officer Beffa, who is connecting with kids in every way possible. He's been in classrooms, he's participating in advisories, he is visible and interacting with kids at lunch. I can't say enough about the way in which he's connecting with our kids. All of that leads to an environment that not only promotes physical safety, but emotional safety here at Rockwood South. On that last note, I hope you all have an amazing weekend. You truly deserve it. We will be back on Monday to do it all again. Take care, Falcons.